Welcome back to The Flash, right here at Comicstorian. My name is Benny, and I'm your narrator for all of this wonderful comic book goodness. Paradox is introduced in issue 88 of The Flash, showing us in flashbacks that are featured in Flash Year 1 how the Flash has altered the life of a single man. The big question presented in the comic book community now is, what is Paradox and how is he going to alter everything? Because he seems to have some crazy abilities. Check out his intro from issue 88, and I'll talk to you guys at the end of the video. His name is Barry Allen. People call him the Flash. A hero, a paragon of hope of Central City. But some see the Flash as, well, something else. Our story begins years ago in the middle of the street when an out-of-costume Flash bumped into a man playing with his kids outside. That act, it resulted in Chris staying a little bit longer to play, which, when it began to rain, forced everyone to get back inside. That rain made Chris think of the idea for his cosmic scope, which was something that everything, including his family, had a hard time understanding. See, Chris was a scientist. Most scientists like him would build telescopes to study the stars, or hope to find new life in the deep beyond of space. Chris, though, he built one to gaze into the borders of time. He believed that there were other universes, alternate realities, and timelines. But the real secret was that reality shifted around them because of changes in time, and, well, they just can't see it. He dedicated years of his life to finding proof of this concept, but Chris wanted more than proof. After changing some of the settings on the cosmic scope, lightning struck and it electrified all of Chris's equipment. And in the blink of an eye, Chris would see it. He was right. Time was so much bigger than he had hoped. It was like he had witnessed the hand of God pulling back the curtains on the multiverse, and for a brief moment, he could feel the power of their timeline. But then, it passed. Chris would work day and night trying to replicate what had happened that night. He would even ignore everything else around him, and this included his family. One day there was a battle, and the Flash was battling against a man calling himself King Turtle, who had come from the future. Chris and his family happened to be out that night, and they were right next to the fight. And as the two of them fought, the Flash and King Turtle, Chris could see the multiversal energy surrounding them, and he needed to feel that energy again. Well, what he did this time was different. You see, Chris could see the Flash pull all of time forward with him, and while time skipped, Chris didn't. He could feel himself being pulled out of existence. He discovered that he was out of sync with the timeline. He no longer belonged in that timeline, and so he was banished. But he wasn't alone. Others got too close to that fight as well, and something happened. So now Chris, along with 3 other people, found themselves in a place that didn't really exist. They were outside of the timelines, and they all walked towards a large mountain with a building on it. It felt like an eternity, but they were also there in an instant. They did not need to eat or drink or sleep, they just were. The others tried to find comfort, hoping together that they'd be able to get out of all of this, but Chris kept to himself, alone with his thoughts. For so long, his obsession was the design of time and space when it should have been his family. And now getting back to him because of his new obsession. As everyone traveled, they learned that they weren't the other ones. Others had been here. As for why, no one knew how they had all ended up in this space between the time periods. And seeing all of the stuff scattered around allowed Chris to build a new lab. One where he would be able to live and study the time stream again. While Chris worked, he could feel the energy during the lightning storm alter his mind and body to be more, to become attuned with the multiverse. The others, though, they were not as lucky. After a while, Chris learned how to leave this place. He just needed to build a lightning rod. Once they all placed their hands on it, it would set them free, and as that lightning cracked, everyone could see time itself. And there was something in a constant state of change, manipulated by outside forces, played like a game for years, pieces that were moved in a way that hurt people. And every time it changed, it hurt Chris. He needed to share that pain to unlock the truth of what had created him. When it came to changing the flow of time, no one was more guilty than the Flash. Always running forward, past all the warnings that he shouldn't be doing this, never looking back at the lives that he crushed under his foot with each change in the timeline. The others, well, they weren't as fortunate as Chris to be so attuned to the multiverse, and their sacrifice was needed. Chris could see the Flash's history before him, along with the knowledge of the multiverse. But Chris knew that there was something else more important. he still needed to get back to his family. However, when he saw his family, he was expecting sadness, and instead they had found happiness without Chris. The traces of the Speed Force in this realm powered a door, and stepping through this would hurt him, but it could be worth it. So he walked through the portal, calling out to his family, but what came out wasn't Chris. It was something else. His wife jumped to protect their children, shouting at Chris to get away, not recognizing the monster before them. He tried to plead with her, to tell her that it was him, but she wouldn't listen. He told himself that it was a mistake for him to go back, to even think about going back. And so, Chris went back into the portal, diving back into the time stream, unsure of where or when he would end up. Soon he felt himself land. Maybe this would be his new home, an opportunity for a second chance, but where he ended up, he wasn't welcome. Some people called the Order of the Time Institute wanted to arrest him. So he held at his arms to try and reason with the people, but then an unstoppable force shot out, completely decimating everything in front of him. Along with the changes to his body, he had also acquired powers. He could take what he wanted, not go back home and be the man that he once was, but rule where he was now. And even in this future, he saw people celebrating the Flash. No one saw him for what he was, a devil. Things were so twisted that even the Flash, his arch enemy, the Reverse Flash, had honored and worshipped him. Eobard Thawne tried so much to be the Flash that it drove him mad, and yet here he was in the 25th century trying to be a hero. This enraged Chris in ways that he never thought possible. In the current timeline, August Hart, Godspeed, asks, "So, you fought the Reverse Flash?" And Chris tells him yes, and he lost. Not only is Eobard Thawne an expert on the Flash and his legacy, but he is a master of time travel and time manipulation. The Time Institute worked with the Reverse Flash and the Renegades to construct a prison that would hold his power. He was held captive here for years, feeling excruciating pain whenever the time was altered. It made him aware that he needed to be present when time changed to absorb the energy created by every paradox. When the Flash family broke the force barrier, well, it caused a chain reaction that reverberated all the way to him, damaging Iron Heights enough that he could escape. It is time for the Flash to pay for what he has done to the time stream. Then the multiverse will see the monster that the Flash truly is. And there you have it, the origins of what could potentially be a massively multiversal villain that could ultimately just affect and wreck everything. Don't really know what to think about this character, so I want to get your opinions. Some people are even calling him the evil Dr. Manhattan, or saying that he's affecting the whole Wally West becoming an evil Dr. Manhattan thing. Who knows? This may just be a one-off villain, this might be a big villain, but I wanted to get your guys' opinions on this new uber-level villain that the Flash has to fight. Is it awesome? Is it not awesome? Is it something we should just ignore? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys next time right here at the Comicstorian channel.